Good evening all, and welcome to the Regeneration and Economic Growth Development Scrutiny Committee. This is a meeting of the Council held in public. It is not a public meeting. There is no fire drill planned, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave by the exit nearest the large screen at the front of the room and proceed down the first exit to the courtyard. Once it is safe to return, councillors will receive a text message. Officers will also advise when it is safe to return to the meeting. We are recording the meeting this evening using our webcasting system, and the webcast will be transmitted live and will also be available on the council's website following the meeting. Can I ask that all mobile phones should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones? Thank you. So I would like to proceed with the first item on the agenda. Do we have any apologies for absence? No? Okay. I'll move on to the second item, which is the declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest?
Only the usual for the county council.
Okay. I believe we've all had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. If we're all in agreement, can we just have a show of hands, please? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to... Oh, yeah. Yes, you can just put it up for me, please.
Yeah, that's the first item. Yeah.
Okay. That's...
Baston Centre.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we're going to be moving on to the first item on tonight's agenda, which is the Basildon's Town Centre events venue master plan. Do we have anyone
John.
speaking? Okay, we have John Tissot speaking. Thank you.
I'll just quickly introduce the report. So this is just an overview of the proposed strategy to continue taking this scheme through to full planning. So this report is just an update that sets out a high-level timeline and identifies some of the key milestones. Since Cabinet approved the next steps back in July, officers have undertaken early market engagement with a strong interest shown by sector specialists. An invitation to quote went live, seeking a consultancy team to help shape a risk-managed delivery strategy covering design, build and commercial partnerships and operations. Submissions did close last week with evaluation and appointments scheduled for this month. The appointed consultancy will progress through 3 phases, which are outlined in the report. And this is just an opportunity to obviously give you all an update. The events venue, or Basildon Arena, whatever you want to call it, represents a significant opportunity to enhance Basildon's cultural offer and support economic growth in the borough. So this is an update on the activities we're taking forward so far, and obviously John is here to answer any technical questions if you have them.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. Do we have any questions from the general? Councillor Tada.
So what's the deal here? How is all this going to come together? Is this going to be owned by Basildon Council and then leased? Are we going to get a sort of another provider to come in and run it? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, the report is unclear. It basically sort of tells us what we've already know with a few sort of nice bullet points, but we don't actually know how's it going to operate, where's it going to go, does the town gate actually get demolished, because originally you said no and now you're saying yes, I think. So it would be nice to get some clarity on this. And it's not just the venue, is it? It's the matter in principle, basically, how it all hangs together. So we would like to know the financials. There's no financials here. You know, are we putting the money up? Is it private finance? And I think these are the questions. I mean, the report as it stands at the moment is a little bit glib. you can't scrutinise it because it is what it is. But the bit that we want to scrutinise in this meeting, because that's what this is for, there's no data, there's nothing, there's no substantial weight behind the effort. So I'll put it over to Mr. Tizard and perhaps he can tell us. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're right, it is a light touch report because we're not there yet. And what we are trying to do is do each step carefully and properly because it is going to be a huge investment depending on the final result. In terms of the location, we've identified this corner of the town centre. We certainly haven't said whether it's going to be where the bus centre is or where the town gate is or both or neither, simply because we haven't got there. So the consultant that we're getting on board is really the next step. It's quite a significant step because it's, you know, it's not a cheap consultancy. It's not £5, for example. It's a significant quote that we've gone out for. And these guys are going to then guide us through the next step. And from a property point of view, you're right, you're asking the right questions. Now, I don't necessarily think we should be just funding something ourselves without proper return. And it has to cover the cost of its borrowing, for example. Otherwise, why would we do it? It's not a good investment. But it's quite a nuanced investment because it's not just a case of it's going to be an arena, which, let's be honest, they don't make money normally. They're not great investments, but they drive other footfall. So if we're then including land, for example, where we could have a 200-bed budget hotel as part of that, maybe some F&B, some restaurants, you know, leisure opportunities, then we could get a private sector operator to come in, finance it, run it as a proper business. I'd prefer an FRI type lease where they're pushing all that responsibility to them because we are not experts at running this and we should not be running it. I think that's a fairly sensible conclusion. So I guess in answer to your question, it is too early, but we are trying to bring every step, and there's nothing really to scrutinise at the moment. I get that, but it's just an update to say, look, this is our next step, and probably by February we'll have more to share with you. Yeah, all I can really say at this stage is we want to make it an FRI to make sure we're not taking on too much risk. We want a expert to come in and take it all off our hands, really, because it's not something we should be doing ourselves. It's very specialist. And in 3 months' time, we'll hopefully be able to answer those questions. So apologies for the light touch report, but yeah, that's just where we are in the process.
Thank you. Do you have any other? Okay, Councillor.
Sorry, can I come back on that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, thanks. So has this been done anywhere else in the country? There's a model, as I understand.
Yeah, so we've spoken to, I think, Swansea, Cardiff, Derby, a couple of others. They're all very different in their certain way. All of them aren't necessarily that successful as well commercially, if we're being honest. But it's the drivers outside of that. You know, are they regenerating the area? Are they driving footfall? Are they making your land value outside of your holding there increase in value? Because what we are doing is owning a lot more of the town now. And suddenly, we've bought it at the lowest possible value. And then in 5-10 years, if it's worth even 50% more, then you could argue, you know, so it's not just a case of seeing some in isolation. Having said that, I won't sign off anything which makes a loss because that's a waste of everyone's time and effort. What is quite interesting when you learn about this, other towns, is whether they go for like just an entertainment-based thing, whether they go for conferencing as well. And depending which operator you speak to, you know, AEG, Live Nation, all these guys, they're very interested in their own model, and you have to include them at the outset, at the design stage. A lot of the mistakes made in Swansea, Cardiff, where they went and designed something, and then they tried to get an operator, and they all said, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. You know, people like Trafalgar, for example, they want a theatre-led production, so they want to have very different to AEG or Live Nation, who's about live music. So we're on that journey, and we are giving it proper attention. But you're right, we have gone out and learned some lessons, and a lot of those people have said to us, look, we'd have done it this way, and most of that was get an operator and a business plan first before you go and design a massive £50 million white elephant. So we've taken that on board.
Thank you. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. So is this instead of or as well as the Towngate Theatre? And also, will it be a covered arena or an open arena?
I might be saying this a few times tonight, but it's probably too early to give a definitive answer. It'd almost definitely be covered. We haven't seen anything which would work open. Fortunately, we don't really have the climate. And you know, you start talking about retractable roofs and you're adding a lot of zeros to an already very big number for very little upside, if I'm honest. So it's almost definitely be covered. I wouldn't suggest we'd have both. This is my personal view. It's not the council's view at the moment, so we haven't decided. But having two, Towngate and an arena, I'm not sure that would work financially. Whether you have some sort of cultural offering as part of an entertainment in arena, whether we keep the Towngate and scale back an arena, for example, it'll all be based on evidence and a financial business case, which will come at a later date.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, what sorts of things will an arena bring to Basildon that we don't currently provide? Because yeah, we're talking a lot about the costs and things, which I know that we haven't got the answers to right now. But sort of what are the positive things that it will bring to Basildon that the Towngate Theatre can't put on?
It's a good reason to come to Basildon, I think, is the first point. 3,500 seats is a number we came to after some previous consultancy, because it will attract the sort of acts which have a very regional pull. So it's not just a case of if you live in Basildon, you might pop down to the arena. It's very much, oh, we're really looking forward to that event next year, and it's a good reason to come to Basildon. Having said that, though, as part of a wider town centre strategy, it's, we want a leisure and culture-led offering. Apart from the Towngate, there's not much else at the moment, I think it's fair to say, in the town centre. Everyone celebrated the Wetherspoons opening, which is great, it's a good start, but it's just a pub. We want people from outside the town to come in, spend their money. And it's not just the arena, they'll come for bars, restaurants, and they'll come back and they'll hopefully have had a really positive time in Basildon and want to come, perhaps even live here, for example. So it's just about changing the image and identity of Basildon, it's driving footfall, and it's increasing land values, etc. So hopefully that makes sense.
Can I come back? I think that's that John sort of put that right. The regeneration of Basildon town centres have changed. They're not, they're not all the shopping venues that people used to have as town centres. I've just said it to myself tonight that I've ordered the last of my Christmas presents on Amazon. I'm as guilty as the next person of how we shop and how we use our town centres now. But obviously by having that leisure-led and culture-led regeneration, that footfall comes to the town centre, which then may bring some of those retailers to sort of know the footfall's here. And if you look at the other spaces across the country where that has happened, where an arena's opened or whether there's a new sort of stadium or something, you get the F&B, you get the shops around it, you get the outlets because there is footfall there. So hopefully it will obviously increase that Basildon as a destination for South Essex, and obviously dependent on the model and what we deliver there as well. It is that reason to come here, and that will bring other retailers and F&B operators and people with it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. What's the estimated cost or budgeted cost for all of this?
I mean, we've looked at similar 3,500 seat arenas elsewhere, and they've been built between 40 to 50 million pounds. But I would hasten to add, that's not saying we would fork out to build it. There's different ways of funding, whether it's an investor comes in and fronts it, we put the land in and they run it. Whether there's grant money available, which would obviously massively help. So yeah, I put that figure out there. I'm not saying that we have 50 million pounds. We certainly don't.
Just laying around.
Exactly, yeah, down the back of the sofa. But yeah, and the thing with these sort of investments is if they make a healthy return, you might look at it, but if they don't, then you have to look at other ways of doing this. And there are models out there, as I mentioned, where you put land in, you can put other things in, cross-subsidise, etc. So yeah, but 50 million is what we thought an accurate and realistic, because the last thing we want to do is say it's going to be 30, end up paying 60, for example. And just as an interesting aside, like Derby, for example, they had a fixed price contract. I think it was 40 million, and the developer actually ended up paying 50 million. So these things do get more expensive. They rarely come in under budget.
So what is the budget? What's your budget to do this first phase of work then?
From memory, I think the consultancy, I'm not sure if it's commercially sensitive or not at this stage, because we haven't actually selected a successful tenderer. It's
tell us afterwards.
Yeah, I'd suggest I shouldn't tell that right now because it goes live. It finishes this Friday, so yeah, I probably shouldn't put that publicly out there.
I was just going to say that I do appreciate the fact that this is even, that you agreed to bring it to scrutiny, because I understand that you said that he didn't have the whole plan out there and all the information. So, but I did encourage him to bring it to scrutiny just so that we are aware. So we did agree that we can also bring this back again at the next scrutiny where he would have more information to share with us, and I think then, further questions would be more appropriate at that stage. So, Councillor Moore.
Yeah, just a quick point. The paper says, therefore, officers have submitted an ITQ for a consultancy or group. What's an ITQ?
Sorry, invitation to quote. Sorry, that's and acronyms that make up most of our day. Sorry. Sorry, apologies.
If we could, at the next report, if we can just have, some abbreviations, just so that, we can be able to follow through with the report and understand what these acronyms are. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually write the word and then after that, that would be good. For those of us that are uninitiated. Just coming back on what you say, that's the upside, yeah. And I've had it not just on leisure, but on planning, where we always look at the upsides. I mean, would you believe 5 Links Estate, repeated in a different part of the world, won awards and is happily thriving in today's environment? So, forgive me, I'm full of risk at the moment. I'm heartened by the fact that the council aren't going to run it. Thank you for that, because I think that would just spell failure. I'm sorry to say, but I think, like you say, it's too early to say at the moment. So we just hold our counsel and wait for the further details to come through, and then we'll take it from there, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Do we have anyone else? Any more questions? No? So this is all for noting. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item on tonight's agenda, which is the Basildon Town Centre Investment Partnership. Would that be you?
It's just me all night, unfortunately. So I do have a short introduction. I think most of these reports are sort of noted and updating, obviously, because we have a lot going on, but obviously we want to make sure we're coming back and giving updates, especially when the chair asks us to. But yeah, so this report is updating the committee on the progress of the Basildon Town Investment Partnership with the Thrive Health Hubs, and it is the establishment of the Basildon Regeneration Partnership. So it outlines delegated authorities that were agreed in July 2025, and it highlights how we will fund and deliver the health centre at the Southgate House, supported by a 10 million development loan from M&G, and obviously then looking at what else the health centre brings, so a range of new health, community, leisure uses in the town centre, complementing existing development and obviously enhancing further the offer we have here in the town centre and our long-term economic and commercial offer. The report also summarises the wider ambitions of the partnership, including talking about the hotel and the associated commercial uses, together with the council regeneration objectives. So yeah, another update report, but John is here with all the technical information because it's quite a lot. So thank you.
Apologies, there's lots of acronyms here as well, so sorry. Just noticed that.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead, or are we open?
I mean, look, it's important that we keep you updated on this one. This is my baby, so I'm very passionate about it. But look, when we were looking at the town centre as what will make money and what will drive footfall, there wasn't really much, especially because Basildon, if we're being honest, is at its lowest ebb, and it probably has been for a while. And actually, health-led regeneration is a really interesting but niche sort of area that's got really quite interesting financial ramifications. So we met with this health group some time ago, and they bought the Debenhams out of their own funding. But because they were NHS doctors in Essex, they have all the contract. They've managed to get contracts for a lot of NHS work, and if you look at the cash flows, which we'll bring at some point, obviously it's very commercially sensitive at the moment, it's hugely profitable, and it's a real footfall driver. And it's not just the NHS contracts, it's the private contracts they'll have. People will be coming from London for operations. They're building a state-of-the-art facility. When we say we're borrowing 10 million, which again is probably commercially sensitive.
Was it not in there?
It is. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But the idea is we're not borrowing it as a council. Thrive Healthcare, but we are guaranteeing the loan to make sure they get the best possible yield. And M&G, obviously a big pension fund, they are not a fly-by-night operator. They are doing very significant due diligence. Thrive Health Hubs are opening one in Southend at the moment, nearly finished. They are a serious outfit. I've met a lot of doctors. My wife's a doctor, so I can sort of speak their language. But they are really positive about this. And the Debenhams, I don't know what else that would be in town. You know, there's just too much retail space. So the hospital is going to be a fantastic addition. And, you know, this time, in a year's time, it's going to be full of people getting operations, going into the town to get some lunch, go shopping. And we own a lot of the property around it. So I'm very, very confident in the next phase of development where we're going to do step-up, step-down accommodation. So people that come in for the night before or the night after operation, they will stay in our properties. Again, extremely profitable. And yeah, that's heart of the town in 5 years is going to be dramatically different, I'm confident. So, sorry, any questions?
Councillor Turner?
Yep, so this is recorded, of course, so we've got your words taken down. In 5 years' time, we'll come back to it. But no, strangely enough, the Conservative group kicked this initiative off some years ago, and originally it was going to be in Freedom House because that is in our ownership. It doesn't matter whether it's Freedom House or Debenhams. What you say, I totally agree with. I hasten to say, Basildon has been at a lower ebb, but just before your time. But I have to say, the cinema is doing what we thought it would do, and that is bringing in private investment. And it was great to see Wetherspoons step up, along with the other restaurants. This is another, I think, key plank of propping up the town centre. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what it actually... Can I just ask, what is Southgate House? Is it Debenhams, or is it the bit that fronts onto the square?
No, it is the bit that fronts onto the square. And sorry, my programme manager wrote the report, and it's not quite as clear, perhaps, as it should be. But Southgate House was initially bought with a view to redeveloping the top half for that step-up, step-down accommodation. Yeah. But actually, we've realised it's a better fit to put it on top of the market pavement, just because of the way it's made up, etc. And actually, I think it probably have the most regeneration impact as well, because Southgate House actually makes money. Yeah. It's all the retail's fully let, and we've got an interesting, again, very early discussions and still commercially sensitive, but sort of an office operator to come in and take all of that office to run it as sort of flexi space, for example. Because we don't really have much high quality office space in town, especially for startups or for people that don't want a big 10-year lease of a floor somewhere. So that, to me, is probably the best direction for Southgate House in the medium term. But market pavement, it's a little bit scruffy down there. And when that Orwell scheme comes out of the ground, it's going to look really out of place. So I think if we can do that bit first, get that step up, step down accommodation above shops. Look, we're in discussions with some quite upmarket retailers, which we just wouldn't.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Just because the hospital's there.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think 5 years, as I said, it's going to look completely different. If we can sort that bus station side out as well, which that's not in our ownership, unfortunately, that LCP shops, which is a real shame because that could be the gateway to that site. That could really open up and become something fantastic, but all in good time.
Listen, it's we're with you on this because it's all coming together. And we have received some very strict opposition in the past to this stuff, to the cinema, to the college, to the health centre. That wasn't in Labour's vision, I have to say. So the fact that they've come round to it, I'm pleased to hear that. And at the end of the day, it benefits everybody, not just the town, not just Basildon, but the surrounding area, the region. It is good to hear. And I was going to ask you about the retail offering, because that will be a metric, won't it? If we start seeing upmarket providers, and particularly on the back of private healthcare, whether or not we can keep them. And this is my fear, is that we put everything in place, but can we hold that footfall in Basildon with the spending power that it's potentially got? Will they spend it in our shops, in our retail? So that's going to be the key to it. But look forward to seeing what comes forward. It's been a long journey. I mean, this is 20 years in the making. So to get here is great news. But and let's have great confidence in you. So 5 years' time, I think you can do it in 3. No pressure, but good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But I think what is important is the investment partnership model. That's something that I'm quite excited about because it gives you that flexibility. Something that councils, because of the way we're run, we can't act quickly or flexibly sometimes. So having this investment partnership, it's going to be important to scrutinise it, I think, going forward, because obviously you'll have a separate decision-making board, but we'll bring it back. But off the back of this, we can go and act commercially in town and say, actually, let's go and do it here. Let's go and do X, Y, and Z. I think the other point as well, the Orwell scheme, 492 build-to-rent private apartments. That's an awful lot of spending power if they're full. So I think the shops will come.
Oh, thank you very much, John, and thank you, Councillor. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Councillor Harrison? Anything? No? No? Did you have something to say? Yeah, he said, No, that's okay. Okay. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Harrison.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I'm believe it or not, I'm in agreement with Councillor Turner on quite a lot of that. Yeah, I feel that we're already seeing the difference in the town centre, and once the health centre's up and running, and we've got things moving in other parts of the town centre, is going to look really good. Just on Southgate House, obviously the sort of the parts of it that you don't see on the sort of ground floor are the offices, and there's a dentist up there as well, which I've unfortunately spent a bit too much time in the last few months, I'll admit. But yeah, are they likely to be impacted at all? And if they are impacted and have to move, will there be sort of plans in place to put them somewhere else in the town centre?
Yeah, look, no short-term plans at all. There is some empty space at the top of Southgate House. I mean, if we do this office-led scheme that I was talking about earlier, we will start there, and we will, because we own a lot of other space in town, it'd be quite straightforward to relocate the tenants that want to relocate. So yeah, there's no short-term plans though, so no one should be worried. Plus, they're protected by their own lease. They can't just be moved. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Harrison. I just wanted to say that this is actually a really exciting time for Basildon, and with all these things that are going on, and the health centre coming together. I think it's a really exciting time, and I'm happy to hear your comments tonight, and I'm sure the residents that are watching are also equally excited and happy for what is to come. So thank you very much for that, John. I'm going to be moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Basildon Construction Academy. Is that you, Jess?
Yes, so with all of that and all of the regeneration and building going on across the borough, and obviously predominantly in the town centre, we have been working with the developers and those contractors coming in. So obviously, as you all know, we have the Basildon First Charter where we're asking developers coming into the borough to use local businesses, but we need to ensure that our local businesses have the skills and the abilities to obviously win those contracts. And that comes from obviously having the talent and the skills and the people working for them. So the Basildon Construction Academy isn't trying to reinvent the wheel and, deliver training that we know already exists. It's trying to close that sort of full circle. So we know who's coming in, we know the businesses coming, we hopefully we'll know obviously when the contracts are being won by certain local businesses, and trying to sort of marry that up with here's where you get the training, here's where you get the talent pipeline, this is where the money is, working with the colleges, working with local trades and businesses, and trying to ensure that local people know where the local jobs and opportunities are. Married together with our pathway service, which was previously the advice store that we have downstairs, and making sure that we're offering a full holistic approach to giving a bit more sort of on the ground actual support to people who are looking for jobs, specifically in the construction academy in the construction industry with the Basildon Construction Academy. So I think it was last month we launched the website. And again, it's a report that's a little bit too early, but we will come back in the new year because we are in discussions about where an actual physical site will be, which will be like a bit of a training hub. And I am looking for, and we are working towards a model that is on a construction site. So people that are going to do training in construction are physically on a construction site, understanding how it works. There have been a couple of pilot models using our Chapelgate site across the way, and there's been about 8 young people go through a sort of mentoring and bricklaying scheme, and they are all now doing apprenticeships in different various areas of construction as well, and they are 8 local young people. I went to go visit them. They're from, the Basildon Academies, they're from Mayflower, they're from schools that are across the borough, and they possibly otherwise wouldn't have known what they were doing next. So it's about obviously creating those opportunities for people that have thought about the construction industry, giving them an insight, and hopefully sort of pointing them in the right direction. As I mentioned, Pathways as well, we have also recently appointed actually a careers advisor officer. So it's an actual dedicated individual who's able to give sort of one-to-one support around careers advice, CV writing, helping with applications. And he is there uniquely to kind of catch those that fall through the gaps. So a lot of provision we work with in Pathways can kind of be 18 plus. And then you've got obviously colleges that usually, and the NEET services that usually pick up those that are 16 to 18 where they should be in education. He can work with anybody over the age of 16 to help them obviously getting into employment. He started in October and so far is currently working with 22 people, 8 of which have actually gone into full-time employment. So that's quite impressive for that short amount of time, and December's looking really impressive as well. A couple of those individuals have also been referred to the Creative Tech Accelerator programme that the council are working on for business startups, so people that are interested in maybe going into self-employment or starting their own business. They've been referred there. So we really are trying to bring all those offers we have all over the place and across the community together into kind of one hub really with this. So yeah, a bit of an update, but hopefully in the new year I can come and we can all celebrate a launch of a physical site and a space that people can go to and marry together some of those job opportunities. And it's not just for young people, it's anybody that wants to go into construction really, so I shouldn't always say young people. But yeah, so trying to obviously make sure we're the ones that are kind of, highlighting that and bringing that full circle together.
Thank you for a very detailed report, Councillor Jess. I think that, having that is actually amazing. I think it's really good. I did want to ask though, how do you get people to come to the construction? Like, how do you pick up those said people? Because I know you said that there are 8 young people that are currently working with you. So are you working with schools? I know you mentioned schools, colleges, and that's something that is obviously very futuristic and, but currently, like right now, and how do we get that traffic for those people? How do you attract the people to come to the construction centre?
So we launched the website last month, and there is a self-referral form on that website. As obviously it develops, and we have had numerous sort of local businesses contact us since the launch, and I kind of sort of pushed to get the website launched and to get us started ahead of having a physical venue, because I think the more you shout and sort of say something exists, then you get more people come on board as well. So the website has been launched with a self-referral. I don't know, I can find out the analytics of the numbers of people that have come through, but I don't have that to hand, unfortunately. But I'm happy to come back with that. And then obviously as it evolves and we have the physical venue, it would be a case of people can self-refer. They might come through the fact that South Essex College has skills boot camps, so it might be sort of, we could host and help support some of those, and we can get the businesses involved in being the employer side of that. We're not trying to reinvent anything, it is genuinely trying to bring it all together. There's a lot of great work that happens out there in the community, whether they're local businesses that are getting funding to run courses, or whether they're the colleges that have the funding, the apprenticeship levy and so on. It's just trying to marry that all together. So at the moment via the website, but then there will be a physical site that anyone can turn up to.
And obviously since your launch, since the 23rd of October, and obviously we had the skills fair that happened quite recently. I can't remember exactly when that was, October as well. Yeah. Did you get a lot of young people signing up for the Construction Academy during that period of time? Is that where these 8 have come from, or?
So the 8 as a pilot were actually off the back of a company that set up a CIC effectively. They set up their own sort of training scheme, and obviously worked with us at the council, and obviously that's why they were over at Chapelgate. That was obviously from them working directly with their own contacts, and we've helped support, and we're going to continue to sort of support and grow that as a service offer. So they came from sort of a separate route that we've kind of adopted and know this model works and learned from the industry of what is working. In terms of the skills show, we also did a construction fair downstairs at Pathways. So for everybody's knowledge, each month we host a sector-based jobs fair downstairs in the Basildon Centre. So one month it might be health and social care, another month it might be retail. Obviously last month it was construction. So we launched it. I think we had around 80 people attend just by a tally, so there could have been more passing through as well. And we had about 2 of our local schools brought students along to that as well, so brought groups of students. So Woodlands walked across, students that are maybe studying construction related courses, and Castledon came along as well to talk to a number of the employers there. So we had a lot of people talk and sign up there. I had great plans of a crane outside the building to attract people when it was a really windy day, so they weren't allowed to put the crane up. But, the idea was there, and we had actual bricklaying, you could come and do a trial of bricklaying right downstairs, so they were really busy all day. So people got a little bit of a taster of, things that they could learn. But yeah, we had around 80 people for that day, 10 or so different employers. They're small, intimate jobs fairs, but where they're sector-based, they are getting that targeted footfall, so people know they're coming to talk about construction jobs or security, whatever they're coming for. So
I don't know if I'm allowed to suggest something, but I know probably am. The mayor's charity this year, I believe, is ATF, and I believe that those young people would probably benefit from this type of exposure. So I wanted to also know, is there anything that the Construction Academy has planned for the young people in ATF to benefit from such a, it's a homegrown academy. So is there anything is there any, should I say, synergy or partnership that you guys have in future for organisations like the ATF within Basildon?
Yeah, we've spoken about how we outreach a bit more, because I think people will traditionally look at schools and colleges, but then the opportunities within all sorts of industries might be for people that aren't necessarily using or engaged in those services as much as they should be. We all know that young person who goes to school and pays no attention to what their careers advisor or tutor has to say. But they might be part of a community group, and that's where they'll listen, and that's who their role models are. I obviously do work quite closely with Councillor Jack Ferguson, who has that portfolio. We are always talking about like the young people's, the youth forum they have, and how there is a lot of crossover. Obviously, it is a space that a district council in terms of education and so on don't get involved in, but there is a crossover that we can start making sure when we host these events, we are getting more community services coming along to them, to sort of raise awareness that it's not always just job opportunities that you can get via, so you can earn a lot from volunteering opportunities or through community groups as well. So we are trying to close that gap, I suppose, of probably what is previously two quite siloed services. But yeah, I'm acutely aware that not all young people that engage in these things are attending school, listening at school, you know, and it is obviously about making sure we reach out to those groups. So yeah, great suggestion. I'll make sure I raise with ATF.
Thank you, Councillor. And I'm really looking forward to the next report. I just want to see how this is going to develop in the next few months. I'm very positive about it, actually. Do we have any? Okay, Councillor Turner.
It's going to be me. I mean, it's good to hear. I mean, this is company's been doing this for a long time, and we kicked it off back in, I think, with Red Row when they done the development up at Dry Street. So it's really good to hear. I won't take it away from you. I just want to get my head around the academy. You said you're going to have a physical building. Is it going to be like a sort of one of the units up on the industrial site, or is it going to be on a development site? Because I mean, if you look at the whole array of schemes that are offered, everybody's offering these things now, and I just wondered. It sounded like you were trying to be the glue in between a lot of stuff. We've taken on. Is it just one full-time equivalent? Yeah. So that person is dealing with individuals getting young. I guess they're hard to reach, these people. Some might walk through the door, but others, like you say, are not listening, not really engaged. So the academy is a scheme rather than an actual warehouse somewhere. But it's good if we can channel any of those youngsters into employment, paid employment. So and hopefully one FTE can punch well above their weight in making that happen. But so it isn't a building, not yet anyway. If it is a building, it's going to be on a development site.
Yeah, that's the hopes, and the idea behind the model that we're sort of looking at is because then you're getting that experience. You're also getting that exposure to the number of different contractors that are on that site. So obviously think about a construction site, it's not just one company that are there. There are a number of different contractors on site that, like you say, all have targets around social value now, all have targets around apprenticeships. How much easier is it for them that they're being trained right in front of them, and that's their talent pipeline? So obviously it's a case of it will probably hopefully be that portable model. It might not be a physical building, it could be a porter cabin on a site, and that's what it was at Chapelgate. It was a tiny little section with a porter cabin, a training space, and they were there directly in front of the contractors all day, every day. So they're hard to miss, they're hard to avoid. So yeah, that's the model we're exploring at the moment. Obviously talking to some of the sites that we have live, and it hopefully could then evolve. It either gets picked up and moved as they finish up or wrap up or need the space back and so on, which is, Chapelgate now need that space back, so where can we move that to? And yeah, that model, I mean, if it got to the space at the time that we, could have a physical site, and there's all sorts going on, but that's what colleges are here for, and that's what they do. So this really isn't about replacing that. They have the funding model, they have the stream, and they have all, that's their job. So I suppose it is about the website, and the scheme is to try and help channel those people. So if they're finishing a course at the college and we know where the jobs are, maybe it become part of the website's a job portal as well, and we're able to host all those local jobs. And I suppose it is helping all those commitments that are being made around apprenticeships and training. We're also helping that along by giving it a bit of a blueprint as well. But yeah.
No, and I would have said, there are colleges like I think CVIC might do something. And we've got one Protech. Is it Protech? I can't remember.
It's now owned by Southampton College. But
yeah. So that one, and then you've got the apprenticeships for the builders that they will take people and train them. But I think anything we can do for young people to stream them into this sort of game is worthwhile. It would be nice though to hear about when we take on. I mean, it has to be an agreement with a developer that they're going to take on X number of apprenticeships. I don't want to get into shows the evidence, but it would be nice to have a report, because very often we've seen that actually the developer takes on more than they've said they were going to do. But it would be nice to have almost like an honour-based system where we say to the developer, have you taken on those 50 apprentices? Yes or no? And if you haven't, just remind them that You know, there's a lot of young people out there that would be glad of gainful employment in this respect. And let's face it, we're going to have a lot of development. So it would be, come back with an update on this stuff, because I think we'd all be interested to see how we're progressing and what Basildon residents are getting. I know you can't always guarantee that an apprentice walks through the door and they've got a Basildon address, but it would be nice if nothing else, as probably you're doing, is to get the word out there that these jobs are on offer. And this academy idea, I think, is probably the right heading in terms of getting to those hard to reach people. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you on the point of the hearing the successes. We do employment and skills plans. We hear about it in the planning stage that one's been done, and I do agree. I don't think we're the best at coming back with the good news. So it is something I've sort of spoken to the team about quite a bit recently, about how we get a lot more of the outputs. And I think the careers advisor downstairs, you know, we're getting a real good blueprint of what he is doing. So I think that's something obviously I can regularly update on as well, and then try and start getting a bit more. And I think the academy will help us get that data as well. We'll get the analytics of who's coming on the website, if they've done a self-referral, where have they gone to, trying to get a bit more of a story, I suppose, than rather than here's the plan and you get the maybe right at the end of the development, you get a number that says this is what we've done, rather than actually more updates in between. So, yeah.
I'd just like to add, and I know you've mentioned it sort of before when you mentioned the part about careers, career advisors working with schools and stuff like that. But I think what would also be really cool or important would be, you know, in year 10 work experience, which is a very crucial stage, because I know that a lot of young people, including myself when I was in secondary school, had a bit of a challenge picking where to do your work experience. And obviously at that age, sometimes you don't know where you want to go. So I think if schools, especially like schools like the James Hornsby School and the Basildon School, neighbouring schools, have an idea that they can actually do their work experience at Basildon Construction Academy. I mean, I don't know if it's something that's already in place or it's something that you could work towards, but I think it's also another way of letting young people know that there is that opportunity there, because a lot of young people, you surprisingly will tell you they're not aware that there was even such an opportunity, or they'll say, oh, I never knew that I could go there. I thought I had to be 18 or something like that. So yeah, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, the only so I obviously I work in the construction industry. Work experience is hard in year 10 on a construction site. Obviously, there's all sorts of risk assessments and so on. And if I was to tell any of my site managers I wanted a 15-year-old on site, they would have a heart attack. So it is about managing that expectation a little bit, but it is about us, like you said, working with local businesses, how we raise awareness. Work experience is changing. The model for schools and how they report on work experience is a whole school model now. So it's from each year. So I think don't quote me, but basically by the end of their school life, they've done 2 weeks worth of work experience, but in different ways. So it doesn't mean they've gone for 2 weeks to a site. It can mean they've done site visits, they've had employers come in and do activities with them. So there's new ways we can work with businesses. It is hard. We have academies, as you know, schools locally, and we are not the education authority. But we do work closely with a lot of our schools, and we do have a great economic development team of, that are outreaching into our schools. I think it's about marrying those options up and knowing the right services to sort of make sure these opportunities are aware. But yeah, work experience is really tough in the construction industry, but is also the vital time to sort of catch them is that sort of 15, 16-year-old age, but you can't have them on a site. So that's where maybe the academy could come into play, of having off-site but real life activities as well. So like I said, the bricklayer, they was all getting involved in because they're in a controlled environment and they're able to. So yeah, I think it's definitely about creating more opportunities and awareness of the industry and the pathways it can take as well in terms of careers.
Thank you, Councillor. Did anyone else have any more questions? Oh,
sorry, I'm enjoying this. So I had a friend. This is an anecdote. He was 12 and he was working on a building site. He didn't go to school much, but at the time, and this was back, would you believe, in the 70s, mid 70s, and the guy was earning 100 quid a day. So that's why he didn't want to go to school. But he was hungry for it. He didn't like school, so he was just hungry to get out and work. And I think where you have have two partners. You have the industry, if you like, and the individual that are hungry for that partnership to work. That's where you get most success. But you've just mentioned it. People don't know, and that's why you've got to get the word out there. You've got to, as the Americans call it, socialise it. You've got to get it in front of them so that they become hungry, if that's what they want. It's not going to be for everybody. But likewise, the industry has to be hungry as well. They have to, it can't be cursory. It can't be a sort of perfunctory, just take it along and share it and see what comes. We've really got to, somehow get the industry to want to take these kids on, and then we'll have success, and we can all enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you all, councillors. I think you made some very, very important points, and I can see how everyone's actually excited about this, not just me and everyone. But thank you so much, Councillor Jess. It's a really good initiative, and like I said before, I'm definitely looking forward to future updates on the Basildon Construction Academy. So moving on to the next item, I believe we have the work programme. Sorry about that, I take that back. We have a verbal report on the Basildon Master Plan update. Is that going to be by you, John? Okay.
Report might be strong. I'm definitely no planner. I'm sitting in for Michael on this one. So look.
Let us down gently.
Yeah. The Basildon Town Centre Master Plan, I've got it in front of me actually, it does exist. It's out for consultation, as according to Reg 14, which to a planner means something, to the others I don't know what that means, if I'm being honest. But that's on Common Place, the same place you find the local plan. It finishes on 16th Jan, so I would recommend that everyone goes and have a look. I've had a flick through it today. It's a pretty good document actually. It's quite exciting for the town centre. From my point of view, from a property point of view, having this sort of SPD in place is important, because we can go out, if we need to CPO or compulsory purchase something, we need to have this document. So I think that's really important. We talked about the bus station shops earlier. Without this, I can't do it. So I'm really happy this is happening. That's my report.
Well done.
And are we going to be privileged to get another report by the next scrutiny meeting, so that we can further understand the progress? And you said something about the consultation in January, so would we have an update on that by the next?
On behalf of Michael, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay.
I'm going to be a little bit prickly here. Nothing about Basildon. Great report, great verbal report. But if you look around the town, Billericay doesn't need any help at the moment. Well, it does, but it's sort of getting it. But it certainly doesn't need a regeneration programme. Langdon's already coming on board, and we've got to make sure that keeps the momentum up. But then you've got Wickford, you've got Pitsea. We started Pitsea, and I would say Pitsea never looked so good when we got that development going in there. That was a collaboration, trying to get the developers, no council money, other than we had to give a swimming pool to the developer. We've now re-provided that. But Pitsea was another one that was a bit of a low ebb, and that just that one development has given it a new life. But we need to do more. We need to do more for Pitsea, but we certainly do need to do more for Wickford as well. So understand why Basildon's in the sights, that's in the crosshairs. But can we have a look at maybe Pitsea and Wickford and see whether, what we can do for them, how we can move them on? Because both great sites for their own purposes, but we can do so much more. And I would like to say that maybe a shout out for those two centres, where we can really perhaps make an enhancement. Thank you.
Just a quick response. Watch this space. There's a couple of things. There's definitely something in Wickford I'm working on in the background, which should be quite transformational. Might be strong, but interesting. Pit-
Transformational.
Like it will be. To be fair, it's timing, isn't it? I don't want to promise things and it doesn't come about quickly. Pitsy's obviously difficult. The land value is even worse than they are in Basildon, which makes any commercial development quite difficult. We are looking at. We've got a lot of stock there though, so there is quite a lot we can do in terms of land holdings, and we've got some really interesting sheltered schemes there. For example, where consolidating them into sort of what I might call a super centre is a great way of releasing other sites, but also creating much better, much more modern, and they just work a lot better shelter schemes. So that's something we're looking at as well. But yeah, it's really early days.
Okay, cool. So you've been teasing all night, so I can't wait for the next meeting. So I'm going to throw your own words back at you now. Because on Basildon we said, we've got a lot of equity in Basildon, so having an arena would only maybe enhance the price. Now is a good time to buy Wickford and Pitsea because you won't get it any cheaper.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ball.
Yeah, I just want to second what Councillor Turner said about Wickford, obviously. Obviously, I know one of the projects you're working on, yeah, and I will obviously leave it there. And it's the co-op site that's the real bugbear in Wickford, the former co-op site. We really need that pushed on, and perhaps you can bring some sort, not you, but perhaps Michael Morrell can bring some sort of a report, an update later on. I know it's got planning permission, but it still looks a bit tired, so perhaps we can push that one on a bit more, because I'm sure that's one of the sites you're looking at when you're intimating your watch this space. So it's just
Can't possibly say.
Thank you so much, Councillor. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Councillor Harrison? No? Okay. We'll now be moving on to the next item, which is the working plan. I believe that's the final item.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, so this report provides members of an opportunity to consider and identify items for the committee's work programme. Refer members to page 26, which sets out the items currently on the work programme for February and beyond. So the report is just asking the committee to note and endorse the items, and if there's any further items they want to be added. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Allen.
what I've just said. Could we have some sort of progress report on the co-op site if it's needed going forward in Wickford? Yeah.
Councillor Moore.
Yes, the item on local plan, it says next stage of consultation. Additional consultation document. I don't understand that. What is it?
Please.
I have no idea. Yeah, unfortunately, Michael's in Australia. And this is very much his area, but they go from Reg 18 to Reg 19. Again, means nothing to me. But yeah, it's a long process, isn't it? The local plan. It's not. Yeah, I'm sure he will make it clear when he's back.
Would that not be where we bring the
I mean, I can always request for when he does get back if that could be clarified and then sent out to members for clarification so that we are aware of
But
it.
I just take that point. If that is the case, remember the consultation closes on the 16th of January.
Yeah.
The agenda would have to be issued on the 28th. That kind of gives you a week to look at the...
to time up the reports as well.
Push it.
Okay, officer, please can we get them to just
Michael.
yes, please. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. Did anyone else have anything else they wanted to say? No? Okay, so I'll say that's the end of the meeting. Have a lovely night. Thank you all for attending. Good night.